Lee Camp.
Hey man, how you been?
Good, dude.
When's that? When's the live show? September 18th, Los Angeles.
Los Angeles, September 18th, 3 o'clock at Dynasty Typewriter, which is this cool old, it's the Hayward Theater. It's a really cool alt comedy space. And Jamie and Vanessa book it. And so I've known both of them for a long time. Jamie used to book the Hollywood Improv. So we have a date there. As soon as we get a ticket link, we will let everybody know, and it'll be on both of our respective websites. So
it's going to be fun. And we promise to put over a half hour of research into this one. We're gonna elongate the research prep time. It's gonna be a big show.
We're actually gonna have a pre-production meeting that consists more of a text going, "Hey, you want to do tomorrow at 6?" or something.
We'll have 3-4 texts at that time for that show.
I just hope that the waves aren't that good so that I can make it to the show on time. That's my only concern.
If it's just know in advance, folks, if I'm alone on the stage, the waves were hot that day. So
if the waves are bumping, I mean, you can't kill the messenger. You know what I mean? Like, what am I supposed to do, Lee? It's not, like I'll get there when I get there. Alone
on stage once, fool on me, shame on me. What was Bush's version? Alone on stage twice. Shame on you. Wait, shame on George Bush. I can't. The point is, you can't fool me twice. All right, Graham.
Okay. All right. That's good to know. I got that written down. I can't fool you twice. But ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Government Secrets episode. Thought it was 50, but actually still 49. So we have more of a topical stuff. There's more craziness happening in the world that the U.S. is now involved in, of course. And
luckily, we used to talk about how part of what made our jobs easy for this show was that you could just type operation and then a letter of the alphabet and find a different CIA operation. Another thing that makes our jobs easy to make things topical is that every week there's a new country the United States is trying to create a coup within, or something happens there and the United States is somehow at fault. So yeah, that's like weekly.
Yeah. The good thing is we were sort of worried, wow, what if we run out of operations? No, there's a new one happening right now. The CIA is conducting one in Cuba right now. So it's fantastic.
Yeah. The CIA never sleeps. So
no, they don't. Not when they have completely limitless funds and unchecked power. It's great. I think the framers of the Constitution didn't put anywhere in there, these three branches of government, checks and balances. Oh, but there's going to be a fourth state that they can kind of do whatever they want, however they want, to whomever they want, and we're just going to have to take it. And
as we've covered before, which everybody should go back and listen to, I believe this was in the maybe the nuclear bombs episode, but Truman, who signed the CIA into existence later, a week after. Oh, it was also in the JFK episode, obviously episodes. A week after JFK's assassination, penned a column that was published in the Washington Post a month after JFK's assassination, saying the CIA is gotten out of hand, folks. This is not what was intended. And it was in the Washington Post, and most people want to forget that ever happened.
Yeah, it's Truman did a bunch of things that later was like, oh boy, that was a little, maybe we didn't think that one through. Oh, really? Hank?
I think he was a lot like Bush in that a lot of what he was doing, he was kind of the puppet in front of the puppeteers. He's the one who's trotted out doing whatever the fuck. And then other times he's doing stupid shit that's his idea. And so you kind of don't know where he stands.
Right. You're like, this is the puppet stupid shit or just his own concocted stupid shit? Like, it's hard to, right. Truman is the one who said that, I believe he said this, that the Oval Office is the crown jewel in the American penal system, meaning you're sort of trapped there which always sort of a funny thing, haha. But the more you really go, maybe they just, that's what they do with presidents. They keep them in that little room, give speeches and do ribbon cuttings or whatever. And then all the awful shit is really happening behind closed doors. Now, I'm not excusing any of the awful presidents we have had, including our current one, and the one before that, 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 and on down since Kennedy. Slight little pass on Carter, but it's a big deal.
On certain things, in certain areas.
Certain things, on certain things. But all right, do you want to get into?
But yeah, I think a lot of it is done by the people in the shadows. But it depends on the president as to how much they're just going to roll over for those folks. So we saw, JFK is kind of the best example because he started out basically going along with whatever the Joint Chiefs or most of what the Joint Chiefs told him. That's how we ended up in the Cuban Missile Crisis and things like that. And then as he grew as a human being and everything else, he stopped wanting to go along with the Joint Chiefs, and he said fucking no. And when the Bay of Pigs collapsed, he wouldn't invade Cuba, and so he was saying no, and then that got him killed. So.
Yeah, and yeah, it's like that old Bill Hicks joke of every president since they brought him in there and probably showed him what really happened on the grassy knoll, and they all just went, okay, I'll play ball,
right?
Right. Or some of them were willingly. Ford was like, yes, I was on the Warren Commission. Get me in there. I'll help you boys out however you want me.
Yeah, some of them are just high-fiving and yeah. I mean, like you said, there's something penal going on in that office. So
there is definitely something penal going on in the Oval Office, which is the name of a children's ghost story that I'm going to write.
You got to come out with your book of ghost stories. You've been threatening for a long time. But I mean, here's the thing. If ghost stories are meant to kind of fuck you up as a kid, I feel like the ones you've told me about of yours really will fuck up a kid.
Yes. I think just the ghost stories of the American Empire would terrify any young child. Like any episode of this show would be like, ooh, don't trust anyone, go have fun, trick or treat.
So this week's topic, as we hinted to, is Cuba. Most people know Cuba had some protests, which, oh my God, a country had some protests? What? That must mean that it's going to sink into the ocean and explode into a fireball. And all of our media will cover how the Cuba, the country is going to collapse because there were some protests. And it's this ridiculous thing. And of course, now we're not covering really this in the show, but now everything's coming out about the extent that the U.S. was involved in fostering these protests, in increasing the Twitter, surge that happened, the hashtag SOS Cuba, all this shit. Like now we're seeing articles coming out because it takes a while to suss out what the fuck's going on. And it's just very clear that it was done by the U.S. and other U.S., client states, basically. And that doesn't mean that some of the protesters weren't genuine, that there weren't people there that have qualms with their government. But, yet again, the U.S.'s dirty little fingers are all over it.
Well, of course, and it's the same old crazy thing. And I think some of it, like Max Blumenthal with the Gray Zone, has come out to say that there's showing the CIA has helped involved in this and stuff like that. And what drives me nuts is, okay, are there Cubans saying we're not getting enough services during the pandemic or whatever? Of course they are. But the thing that drives me nuts about that is that said, like, see, that's why communism fails. I don't know. Have you been in America in the last 18 months?
Yeah.
Have you seen empty shelves and food lines for 3 hours and people, being, the eviction moratorium is ending in August. Like it's ending in a bunch of states. So a bunch of people starting like August 6th are going to be kicked out.
Like, and by a bunch, you mean millions.
I mean, millions. I mean, millions of them. And so when these types of protests happen in America, the American media, the corporate media, doesn't talk about how America is a failed state. We're not covering. I mean, if that's what drives me. Like we're still feeding Americans this like America's the best place. It's not perfect, but it's I mean, people have been protesting contaminated water in Flint, Michigan for 6 years. I mean, what are we talking about? Like the Dakota Access Pipeline. I mean, we could go on down the line. Just what's happening right now in Los Angeles. There is the fucking LAPD seized a bunch of fireworks, put it in their bomb diffusion truck, and it blew up and destroyed people's homes and injured people. That just happened in LA. Like, and there was a press conference today with Chief Moore. And he's answering questions. So there's this guy behind the cameras who's going, Chief Moore, you're a criminal. You should be blown up. You should be fired. And he's trying to be like pretending. I'm sorry. Could you pull your mask down? I couldn't hear you, because there's someone in their neighborhood had their neighborhood blown up by LAPD. And then we're going to sit there and go. That's
when the incompetence really is evident, when it's shooting off in a fiery fireworks explosion
that destroyed people's cars and homes, and people got injured. And LAPD is like, well, we're trying to, and this giant, whatever $2 million bomb truck that they didn't even do correctly. So we waste money on a bomb truck that still fucks up everybody's neighborhood. And we're going to sit there and say Cuba's having problems? Oh, got it.
I had a friend with a bomb truck, but it was mainly just where we went to fuck when we were in high school. So, but
that's what you guys called this guy's dad's van.
It was the bomb truck. Smoke weed and fuck. But this also means the LAPD has gotten to Naked Gun level. There's a scene. This scene was in Naked Gun where the factory's exploding, and it's a fireworks factory. So you see all the fucking fireworks shooting out and everything. And whatever Leslie Nielsen is facing away from it, facing the crowd that's facing the fireworks and the flames, and going, nothing to see here.
Yes.
Go, everybody. It's all fine. And it's like,
it's unbelievable. And like Cuba had some protests because they're not happy with their government. And then we got communism has failed. Jen Psaki, we all know communism has failed. I'm sorry, Jen, who are you again? What are you, privileged white lady, saying to me? Like,
and above everything else, what is it that's actually driving us to extinction that literally could kill humans' ability to live on this planet any longer? That would be capitalism. So beyond everything else, there's always that. And then, of course, there's the things like Cuba has no homelessness because they give everyone somewhere to live if they need somewhere to live. They have no joblessness, unemployment, because you have a right to a job. They have some of the top healthcare in the world. And so this doesn't mean that everything in Cuba is fucking perfect. But a lot of what's wrong in Cuba is our economic war that we've been perpetrating against them for decades now. And, we're going to get into some of what we've done to them for decades.
Right. Right. Yeah. We've got, but we're going to get into them. And then we also have a Operation Peter Pan, not making that name up with relation to Cuba. So those are our segments for today.
Here we are. We're going to get into how Castro survived 638 assassination attempts by the CIA.
Wow.
638. And
how do you fail that many times?
It's unbelievable. It really is like some sort of record or something. And of course, I'm glad they failed, because we shouldn't be fucking assassinating other countries' leaders of state, because we have no legs to stand on when it comes to being, the moral like leadership in the world. So this is there's many outlets have covered this, because this is one of these government secrets where once you get far enough removed from it, they're okay with revealing it, and so it's come out over the decades. But the most of the article I'm going to go by is the Australian Broadcasting Corporation, ABC, different ABC than ours, but
still corporate.
So yeah, still corporate. So this is about, they say about 10 years ago, the former head of Cuban intelligence, Fabian Escalante, told a British documentary team that the CIA had tried to kill Fidel Castro more than 600 times over a period of about 40 years. In a series of bungled and harebrained schemes, the CIA overwhelmingly failed to kill Castro. Escalante's list, and I love this. He literally, at least he says he did, kept count for each president that the U.S. had. So here are the numbers by his count. Escalante's: Eisenhower 38 times, Kennedy 42 times, Johnson 72 times, Nixon 184 times, Carter 64 times, Reagan 197 times, Bush Sr. only a mere 16 times did they try to kill Fidel Castro, and Bill Clinton only 21 times. So successfully did U.S. spies not kill the Cuban leader that he was able to die of natural causes at age 90. I mean, well, I think it's clear the CIA aged him with their aging gun and killed him that way. So
the CIA. I'm so glad our tax dollars are going for 600 bungled attempts. Like, what were the attempts? Just like a carrier pigeon's going to drop to
you're about to hear some of them.
Yes.
And whatever you come up with as the end of that sentence will probably not be as insane as they came up with.
No, we know that. There's no way. Some of the operations we've uncovered on this show. The CIA is run by like adolescent lunatics or something. Like, it's not even like the sharpest brains. They're just crazy, but not even. It's like kids, well, it's like 9-year-olds.
Yeah, I may be leading with the conclusion here, but it is like they're given so much freedom to just fuck with the world, to kill people, to do whatever the fuck they want. John Kiriakou, the whistleblower who revealed that our CIA was torturing people and then served time in prison for revealing the torture. He's the only one to ever serve time for our torture program. He said that there is literally an office in the CIA that's like and I think I've mentioned it on the show before, that's like the coup plotting office. And if you want to plot a coup, you go in there and you bring a little, a pitch, like a movie pitch. Like, here's the country I would like to overthrow and why. And, and they sit down and they go, picture it now. Djibouti. All right. We go in there and they go through and they submit who they want to coup. It's fucking insane.
Is it like in show business? Because you're always trying to say it's like, it's Saving Private Ryan meets, that's how you pitch stuff. Like,
it's like Honduras meets Chile meets Iraq. All right.
It's what we did. It's the Mossadegh coup with Indonesia. Huh? We do those, but so it's sort of a tropical, but there's oil. Like,
we're going to do it in Cuba. Instead of WMD, it'll be WMM, weapons of mass mangoes. All right. We'll go in and
this doesn't surprise me at all, because executives in show business are morons as well. And like a writer friend of mine was like, this young executive brought these two writers in, like, I got this great idea and I want you guys to write it. He's like, this woman, is bringing her new boyfriend, fiance home to dinner, right? Parents haven't met the guy. Only here's the wrinkle. She's white and he's black. And they started laughing. They thought he was joking. And they're like,
what year was it?
This was in the 90s. And they're like, you mean Look Who's Coming to Dinner with Sidney Poitier? The guy was like, huh? Never heard of that. Never heard of that movie. That movie that came out in the 60s where that was that exact plot line.
Well, also makes a lot more sense in the fucking 60s than in the 90s.
Yes, I know.
Idiot.
I know. It's just like, that movie came out in the middle of the civil rights movement. So this was a big hot topic. And the guy had no idea. He worked at a studio, had no history of movie, nothing. And I feel like it's these same idiots, that same type of idiot. They're just go-getters. That's how they got the position. They're conniving go-getters that know how to work their way up the ladder in a corporation, or what the CIA is basically a corporation. It's just a big company, and they know how to do it. And so they pitch these dumb ideas, and their focus group, just like a sitcom. And that's where they come up with, like, you know, Operation Mango Farm or whatever this one's going to be.
Maybe you know the more of the details of this, but it reminds me of, what was it? Was it Barry, the producer of Wild Wild West, Barry Sonnenfeld? He had, like, I think it was him. He had tried to insert. He told multiple movies that he was producing or co-producing or something, that a giant spider needed to be the bad guy because people were scared of spiders, and people fought that idea, and eventually it got crammed into the movie Wild Wild West, which was a massive flop. And he was just like, just put in a giant spider, all right? That's all that matters.
Yeah. These are crazy people. I remember a director said to me once about show business, he goes, it's the only industry where to succeed in it, you need a D average in school.
Well, and so, yeah, you're correct. Hollywood is very much like the CIA. I guarantee you there's been a meeting at the CIA where they talked about giant spiders. Like that.
Well, absolutely.
There too. So, yeah, let's get into some of these plots. Not all the plots were executed against Fidel Castro. Many were ideas just plucked from the fevered imagination of the world's most powerful spy agency. Somewhere behind this insanity is a bunch of nameless inventors and what must have been a pretty surreal office culture. I love that. I love that line. Them just walking around. All right, what if we run up to Fidel Castro and we give him a ferret? All right. Now, that's actually just a distraction. Meanwhile, we're putting a beetle in his ear. Like, more than anything, the list suggests a complex, tangled bureaucracy that was able to insulate personnel from external review while giving them unlimited resources to kill a distant, powerful figure of myth, the Phantom Menace of the United States. A series of newspaper records in the 1970s led to a government investigation of the CIA's abuses of power. Yeah, an investigation into the abuses of power, and then nothing, no ideas or anything to stop it from happening again. We'll investigate it, but we won't change anything. President Ford banned political assassinations in 1976, but according to Escalante, they continued for 2 more decades. Yeah, they've always continued. There is no time in recent memory that the U.S. was not somehow doing political assassinations. Now we drop thousands, tens of thousands of drone bombs on people, which are basically political assassinations. First of all, as Daniel Hale revealed, which now he's going to be sentenced in a week to years in prison for revealing this, over 90% of those killed by our drones are innocent civilians. But even if they weren't, most of them are basically political assassinations. They are the attempted killing of people that have committed thought crimes according to the U.S. military. Like, these people are saying things that we don't like, and the military says promoting terrorism. And so we'll just try and kill them, but kill innocent civilians instead. You know, just fucking blow up. If we blow up all the wedding parties, then we might accidentally hit a terrorist.
Yeah. And, and that's part of the whole thing where they pitch us on these laser guided surgical strikes. And then it's always like 90% innocent people get taken out. And it's like, what are you going to do? You got to break a few eggs to make an omelet. Like, that's their approach to all of this.
Yeah. Our not so smart bombs.
Right.
So, all right, here's the first one. And I'm going to go through, it's like 8 or 9 of these plots, even though there's apparently 600 of them. In 1966, a newspaper reported that in 1967, the year earlier, the CIA had approached a New York City police officer with the idea of slipping Castro a cigar packed with enough explosives to take his head off. This has never been confirmed, though we know the CIA did use cigars for another separate assassination attempt. In 1960, the CIA laced a box of Castro's favorite kind of cigars with poison, but the package never made it to Castro.
This is a Roadrunner plot. I mean, this is how the coyote would try to...
All of these are fucking Roadrunner. It's so crazy. It's like, not one of these is like a standard, just like, we'll go in and we'll try and shoot him. It's all like bananas, fucking slapstick, exploding banana peel shit. All right. Here's number 2. Castro loved ice cream. Oh, man. Is there anything more evil than someone who loves ice cream?
Oh, get him off the earth.
So, Castro loved ice cream, as he loved cigars. And the CIA hit upon a plan to poison his desserts. To do this, they asked for help from the casino mafia, who had been kicked off the island after Castro took power and outlawed gambling. Yeah, so, when capitalism was kicked off the island, so were the mafia that ran all the casinos and exploited, so many people. It was a mafia town, and so they hated Castro as well. According to some accounts, the mafia was able to slip a jar of poison pills to a cafe worker in the capital of Havana. Some say the worker was meant to slip the poison into an ice cream cone. Others say it was a milkshake. Well, they need to nail this fucking shit down, okay? But at this crucial moment, the poison could not be dislodged from inside the freezer. It was frozen in there. Either way, this was the closest the CIA came to getting the marked man. So that was their best plot.
Oh, so their best plot was hiring mob guys that are bad that they can't run a casino. I've seen Godfather 2. We know the plot line of that. And they wanted to go with basically they hired a version of Johnny Ola who took Michael Corleone to a sex club. And that's the guy they wanted to get these pills into his ice cream. This sounds like what happened? Did they just laugh Sniper out of the room, or like what happened with just good old?
Oh yeah. The guy comes in. Oh, like I'll just go there and I'll like shoot him, because if he's at sidewalk cafes buying ice cream, he should probably be a pretty easy mark. I mean, is that what Castro was doing? Just wandering down like from ice cream stand to ice cream stand.
And there's the coyote trying to drop an anvil on his head. Is that just what's happening?
Yeah. It seems odd, but so number 3, in 1963, Castro loved diving as he loved cigars and ice cream. He was a man of many passions.
Oh, what a Renaissance man.
And the CIA looked into the idea of luring him to his doom with a large, I swear to God, brightly painted seashell packed with explosives. It would be rigged to explode and then dropped in an area where Castro commonly went diving. The CIA purchased a large number of shells for this purpose, but there's no evidence the weaponized marine life were ever deployed.
Under the sea, that's where you'll be. Under the boom. We got you, Castro.
I mean,
an exploding clamshell.
This is so bizarre, because if they have access to literally like the area where Fidel Castro commonly went diving, you would assume they could just like leave non-seashell explosives down there. Like it all seems fucking crazy. Why did you have to be dressed up like a seashell?
And why does it have to be an exploding seashell? It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. Like, if he's dumping up, there's not a sniper around. I mean, like, we're just doing business. Like, if you just want to wipe a guy out, why do we need like the dumbest like Disney plots? I mean, this is like, there's Disney villains that are more intelligent than the CIA.
But you know that if they'd gotten to the point that they were actually doing it, like a hermit crab would come along and like take the shell, and they'd be like, no.
No, there goes our exploding shell.
It's walking away. Oh no, it's walking towards our submarine.
Oh, we never saw that coming. Shit. Who saw a hermit crab picking up our exploding seashell and walking away with it? Fuck, these guys are stupid. How are they in charge of anything? Like, it's why they don't recruit comedians, because we would just be laughing at them all day going, really? That's your plan? They're done?
Yeah, I really do picture the guy walking in and being like, can I just go there and stab him? And they're all like, what are you, out of your mind? That's too easy. You know what? This is like Dr. Evil in Austin Powers. Like, no, I won't shoot him. I'll come up with a crazy slow plan that slowly kills him.
And explain it along the way so he has enough time to get out of it, and now he knows how the plan works.
Right. So, number 4, 1961, the gadgets arm of the CIA dusted the inside, and this is the one I'd heard the most about before.
CIA dumb attempt number 4.
Dusted the inside of a diving suit with fungus that caused a chronic skin disease and put tuberculosis in the breathing apparatus. All they needed to do now was get Castro to put on the suit. Whoa. It was decided, and this is how far it got. It wasn't just done. They then had the plan to get it to him. It was decided a high-profile American lawyer who had been leading negotiations with Castro would become their unwitting accomplice and present the suit to the Cuban leader. The plan fell apart when the man was tipped off by a CIA lawyer. So, like, this is what they're doing during negotiations with Castro. Like, this is classic U.S. empire. We're fucking villainous assholes. They are currently in talks with Castro, negotiating peace, and they're also trying to give him a wetsuit that will kill him.
With the dumbest things I've ever heard. Like, we're going to give you a skin fungus, and that's going to make it like really, like, you're going to give we're going to put it. You think eczema is going to kill this guy? Like, what are you talking about?
It's like, did you kill him? No, but he's been scratching quite a bit.
He can't leave the country now. He's like, we got him. Like,
he's furious. He can't. Moisturizer's doing nothing for what we did.
It's just like. And then we've got a guy with calamine lotion that actually has vinegar in it, so it's going to make it worse. All right. Like,
furthermore, we've sanctioned all moisturizer coming into the country, so he can't even get any.
You guys, CIA, I know you're watching the show. You're so fucking stupid. You're so stupid. Like, I could like, again, just have someone go get him when he's diving. Like, what's the, why? Like,
all right. Are you ready? It actually making him itch a lot is actually probably more sophisticated than this upcoming plot.
The 5th version of the top 5 dumbest ways to kill Castro.
In 1960, the idea was to undermine Castro's public image by making him behave strangely while he was speaking to the nation.
Don't tell me whoopee cushion. Don't tell me that, Lee. I can't know our government paid for that.
To do this, they would spray the radio broadcasting studio. If they had access to the fucking radio studio where he'd be, why would they not just kill him? And here's the thing. I'm glad they didn't kill him. I didn't want him to be assassinated by our government. But I don't understand. If you have access to the fucking studio, why can't you just kill him? Anyway.
Again, there's a guy that went, well, if we can get into the studio, why don't we just put a bomb in there? Get out of here. This guy's out of his mind. You're done. You know what I mean? Like,
it's crazy. If we did that, what are we going to do with all these seashells we bought? Are you kidding me, kid? You get the fuck out of here right now. I knew you were trouble when we hired you. You said you wouldn't use seashells. And I said, oh, no, that won't be an issue. But it is an issue. It is an issue.
We have 10,000 gallons of disappearing ink that we're going to somehow figure out a way to murder him with. And you're giving in me with all this bomb hobble gobble. Get out of here, punk.
Listen, I got to move this ink. I got to move these seashells. And you telling us you don't eat mollusks. And I was like, oh, well, if you can't kill a few mollusks, then this is not the kid for us.
I have a warehouse full of tuberculosis and 50-gallon drums. What am I supposed to do with that? All right.
I don't care if you're Hoover's son. You get the fuck out of here. You get the fuck out of here with your no seashell business. So, yeah, exploding cigars are silly. I'll show you, silly. You smoke one of them. I'll show you, silly. So, let's see, they went into the radio broadcasting studio and they were going to spray it with a chemical similar to LSD so that Castro would hallucinate live on air. Another idea was to give him a box of cigars that would temporarily disorient him while he was giving a speech on television. Yet another scheme was to dust the inside of Castro's shoes with a chemical that would make his iconic beard fall out. I'm not kidding.
When his beard falls out, it's over. I mean, Cuba's done.
Literally, they knew. I've read in other articles, they knew they had the plan of what chemical to use to make his beard fall out.
It's like Samson. If he loses his beard, he loses his power.
Yeah.
People think he's weak.
Many people have said his power's in the beard. And
I cannot grasp.
Well, not to mention, if he loses his beard down below, that'd be really troublesome to him.
He's got a bald bag on him. He's going to be then where? How does the government go from there? You put that on top of with the eczema. We got him. I mean, it's over.
You can't have a communist strongman with a bald bag. We know that. That's been known since day one. Marx wrote about that. No communist strongman without a big forest of a ball sack. That is well known.
Like I'm half tempted. If I didn't know you, I think you're bullshitting me. You know what I mean? Like, these are so preposterous. I'm like, come on, Lee. This is bullshit. But like, I know this is the truth. That's what's so. It's God. Our CIA is stupid. Like, they're so dumb. Oh
yeah. This is not just one article. This is multiple articles. It's also came out in some of the, we mentioned at the beginning, the investigation into the CIA's abuses, quote unquote, which were not really abuses. They were just doing what the CIA does, but they pretended they were abuses. All right. I got, I think 2 more here. Marita Lorenz was Castro's lover in 1959. She was recruited as a contract agent for the CIA and tasked with assassinating the Cuban leader. She was given 2 botulism toxin pills to drop in Castro's drink, so her story goes. Just one would kill him in 30 seconds, but she got cold feet. Even if she had wanted to kill him, she had botched the job anyway. She said she stashed the pills in a cold cream jar that made them gunky and unusable.
These guys, I just can't. Like, they got to have one where, like, we are going to put him in an ice tray, and then we put the ice tray under his bed, and then the ice melt. Oh, how did we know that? We didn't know that was going to happen. Like, they don't even understand just standard physics.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's all phenomenally pathetic. Another CIA plan that was straight out of James Bond was its plan to kill Castro using a hypodermic needle concealed within a pin, P-E-N. The needle, like a writing pen. The needle would finally they're moving some of that disappearing ink. The needle would be so fine that the victim would not notice its insertion, according to the church committee. Its reports said the needle was to be rigged with poison and injected into Castro by a highly placed Cuban official who was in discussions with the CIA. However, the Cuban official did not think much of the device and complained that surely the CIA could, quote, come up with something more sophisticated than that. even like they've got like a bus boy that serves Castro on the weekends, and that kid's like, this is all you got? This shit?
This is really? Like, what's next? You're going to exploding ink that goes on his shirt, and if he has ink on his shirt, he's going to lose power? Like, what do you guys do?
I'm supposed to dust his shoes with this shit, and that's going to give him an itchy asshole? That's all you got? Really? That's it? I thought we were talking like serious shit here.
Like a glass that dribbles. Like, these are half of these things are all stuff you could have gotten at a mall, like a Spencer's Gifts.
Spencer's, yeah. Like a dollar store, the prank section at a dollar store.
This looks like somebody. It looks like a spilled glass, but it's not. It's actually plastic.
They were like, so what we have here for our next plan is this fake dog turd. All right, now you leave this around Castro's office. He's gonna think it's a real dog turd, and then he's gonna be upset with his dog. And
then we got him.
That's not well. Okay, but what is that? Does it then explode? No. It's just gonna disorient him, and he won't know who put it there.
Yeah, and he'll be like, "This is my dog," and then he'll get close and try to smell it, and then won't, and then we will, and then we got him.
And he's going to feel silly because he's going to be on all fours smelling a fake dog turd. You know what I'm saying? It's going to make him feel silly. And then it's all downhill from there, really. You can't run a nation once you've been smelling fake dog turds.
There's no way. There's no way. It's impossible. And then Cuba collapses. It all makes sense.
Oh, and we do have an image of Castro in a scuba suit, which very important.
Oh wow.
I'm assuming that's not the one that was filled with fire ants or whatever.
Yeah, that was their plan. We built it full of fire ants, and then we didn't realize the ants die underwater.
Yeah. Oh, we didn't realize the ants would die after we had them in the suit for the past 2 months while they were being shipped to Castro.
Damn it. And then I guess we thought ants could swim, but I guess they can't. So we lost that plan.
You've heard of the school to prison pipeline. Did I mention that in the 60s there was a Harvard Lampoon to CIA pipeline? We're funneled straight there. National Lampoons just straight to the CIA.
Just like get some of the writers from Scooby-Doo and get them over to the CIA and come up with plans to foil Castro. And that's what they're going to do. Just like.
So the other reason that official with the hypodermic needle plan, the other reason that didn't go off, despite the fact that other than, on top of the fact that the guy was like, I'm not fucking taking this stupid needle thing. I got to stab him in the back with a pen. You don't think he'll notice that? So he was, but part of the timing was also the problem. He was offered the pen on November 22nd, 1963, the date of JFK's assassination. And then this is one of these things where I feel like our mainstream media, or in this case, Australia's mainstream media, throws in there to just go along with the standard story on JFK's assassination. The event saw the agency withdraw its support on the attempt at Castro's life, and the official never took the pen to Cuba. As if some of the CIA didn't know that JFK was going to be killed because they were part of it. But to me, a lot of people think the CIA is one entity, but as we're showing here, there's multiple departments. They're doing many things. Often the right hand doesn't know what the left hand's doing. I mean, I've covered before how at one point in Syria, and this is more recent, the Pentagon-trained rebels were fighting the CIA-trained rebels. So just because part of the CIA is trying to assassinate Castro does not mean that a small group in the CIA doesn't know about the plans to kill Kennedy. But anyway, I'll give you one final quote. This is from the Guardian article on these attempts on Castro. The obsession on the part of the CIA and their exile allies perhaps only had a modern equivalent in the hunt for Osama bin Laden. As Wayne Smith, the former head of the U.S. Interests Section in Havana, said a few years ago, quote, Cuba seems to have the same effect on American administrations that a full moon has on a werewolf. We may not sprout hair and howl, but we behave in the same way. Which is shockingly true. I mean, we have been so butthurt over the fact that they threw off our capitalist ownership of their country that we have never stopped trying to crush them. And that's proven today with the continued sanctions on Cuba, which are causing the deaths of many people because thanks to our insane economic war on them, they literally can't treat COVID patients as effectively. And people are dying there because of that. And people die because of other, medical things that can't get into the country. People die because of, hunger, sometimes in Venezuela or Cuba because of our economic wars. So we're still going, still trying to kill as many. And, who dies from economic war? Well, it's usually like babies and the infirmed, elderly. So we're still trying to kill as many babies and old people as we can in Cuba because, we're just a wonderful moral country.
Yeah, well, they had the audacity of not wanting casinos.
Yep.
Wow. Well, I feel better about America now.
You always get to the end of our episode. I know we got another story coming up, but you always get to the end of our episodes feeling just much better about America.
I always just like, yeah, you know what? America's going to be okay. It's going to
The kids are going to be all right.
Kids are going to be all right. You know what I mean? We're not just the collapsing empire that has now descended into just madness. Like America is the craziest place. There's other crazy people in other countries, but America has just gone batshit nuts. And the reason it's gone batshit nuts is decades of this kind of goddamn, Bugs Bunny plans through the CIA. That's really why, like, Foghorn Leghorn was designed.
That's actually, the closest to the American empire is Foghorn Leghorn, I think.
It's Foghorn, I think. That is the American empire. Yeah, well, that was Yosemite Sam. So there's two different branches. That's basically.
Yeah, if you mesh the two, Foghorn Leghorn and Yosemite Sam, maybe a little Tasmanian devil.
Yeah, and it's not that the right hand within the CIA or even our military or the Pentagon doesn't know what the left hand is doing. It's that the right hand doesn't know the left hand exists, and they're just operating like, I'm the only hand, and this one's like, so am I'm the only hand, and they run into each other. Hey, who are you? And they just it's insane.
Right, like they run into each other in the hall, and they're like, who are you trying to coup? And he's like, oh, I'm trying to coup Ethiopia. And he's like, I was trying to coup Ethiopia. Fuck you, man. Who told you I was supposed to be doing that one?
Oh. Yeah. All right. Here is this is I wanted to talk about Operation Peter Pan. And I knew we were going to talk about Cuba today, so I wanted to find a Cuban thing. And I did a little CIA operations in Cuba. And we've had a bunch of them, like you just said. Operation
just a few.
Just a few, just a handful, just 600 and some. So one of the plans in there was, or Operación Pedro Pan, that's the Spanish version, was a clandestine mass exodus of over 14,000 unaccompanied Cuban minors ages 6 to 18 to the United States over a 2-year span from 1960 to 1962. So we stole children from another country.
Jesus Christ.
Right? Aren't we amazing? Aren't we so amazing? This is such an amazing country. They were sent by alarmed parents. Again, now this is from Wikipedia. So alarmed parents, I would take that with a grain of salt. But
no, I also sent you history.com did an article about it. So it's more than just Wikipedia.
Okay. So alarmed parents who heard rumors that Fidel Castro and the Communist Party were planning to terminate parental rights and place minors in communist indoctrinated centers, and an unsubstantiated rumor commonly referred to as the Partida Prostate hoax or something like that. I don't know if there's any evidence, but I would guess that was a rumor sent by our CIA to terrify parents into giving up their kids. I mean, would you put that past our CIA that just wanted to give someone toe fungus to kill them?
No. Step one in all these programs is rumors. I mean, that and we didn't get into that with the plots to kill Castro, but they were endlessly spreading rumors about Castro, what he was doing, what his life was like, just to try and harm his ability to rule.
Yep. And that was the thing. I had a teacher when I was in the 8th grade who was like, oh, kids in Cuba, they're meant to pray. And if they pray to a god and they close their eyes, nothing shows up. And then they tell them to close their eyes and pray to Fidel Castro. And then an apple shows up on our table. So that's how they're indoctrinating the children. I'm like, wow.
What the fuck is that?
Yeah. My 8th grade teacher, 7th grade teacher said that to me. And to our whole class. And I'm like, wow. At the time,
meanwhile, we're like, hey, a big fat creepy dude will come down your chimney, and if he didn't like you, he'll give you coal. Yeah. And we're like, but Cuba's weird.
This was, again, she would say this to us right after the whole school stood and did the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. So that's not propaganda at all. You're not propagandizing children at all.
And said that somehow pledging allegiance to America was under God.
Under God.
Yeah.
And indivisible. One nation under God. So That's not propaganda at all. That's just good, decent, God-fearing Americanizing. But what they did in Cuba was horrifying. So we had to get those kids out of there so that they couldn't be taught to like grow up in a country where everyone should have health care. The program consisted of two main components: the mass evacuation of Cuban children via airplane to the United States, Miami as particular common hub, and the program set up to care for them once they arrived. Both were led by Father Brian O'Walsh of the Catholic Welfare Bureau. Well, I'm sorry, there's a little bit of a red flag for me as someone who's like, so the Catholic Church was helping out with this? Feels like a red flag that the Catholic Church, which has spent money on lawyers to discredit survivors of pedophile priests. I hear Catholic Church and rescuing children, a little bit of a red flag goes up. The Catholic Church that we know has done, we could do hours of episodes on those monsters. Wow, Graham, why are you so hard on a religion that I was raised by? Yeah, awful. Another crazy place. The operation.
Well, I just want to throw in here, since we're talking about the Catholic Church, or I don't know if it's necessarily the Catholic Church, but the church, is that this program, which you're speaking of and you're going to keep going into, is very similar to the residential schools where Native American children were stolen and put in schools. And in Canada, they were run by the church, and thousands of Native American children were killed. The bodies are now just being dug up in many instances. And right now in Canada, they are burning down churches because of this. So.
Yeah. Good for them. It's just, this has been done numerous times. I mean, this like stealing kids and re-educating them, which is just like the cornerstone of like white colonialism, is this kind of shit. The operation was the largest mass exodus of minor refugees in the Western Hemisphere at the time, and operated covertly out of fear that it would be viewed as anti-Castro political enterprise. No, no.
Do you think?
I can't. I have a hard time believing that. Following the Cuban Revolution of 1959, the first wave of Cuban immigrants left for the United States. Most, if not all, thought it to be a temporary solution, imagining a life where they could return to Cuba once the United States liberated the country from both Fidel Castro and the spreading communist movement. Now, these were the most elite and well-off members of society. That's who left. And this is true in a lot of places.
Right.
When there was like some sort of, working class uprising, the people that left and hated the new government and were the wealthy. They're the ones who got run out because they were profiting.
Right. And because there was more equal, at least more equal distribution of wealth. And if you go to, so I went to Cuba a few years ago, and if you go to Cuba, you still see a lot of the architecture is these kind of grand mansions that were built when there was an exorbitant amount of wealth in a few number of people. And those grand mansions are now split up into housing for, 5 or 6 families, which can live in a grand mansion pretty comfortably. So instead of having some people living in mansions and others living on the street, you have everybody living fairly comfortably, but nobody with grand mansions. And, to the people in the grand mansions, initially, that's horrifying, right?
Right. Yeah. So I can't believe I'm losing my mansion where there's rooms in it that I literally don't use. And now people on the street can have a roof over their head. Oh, the insanity of it all. Yeah. So this was, so the most elite and well-off members of society, owners of big farms, big merchants, sugar mill owners, manufacturers, cattlemen, representatives of foreign companies, and established professionals. They fled once their assets and property were seized by the new government. So this brings me to this article that was sent by our friend of the show. Jeff Bezos said his dad emigrated from Cuba alone at 16. His grit, determination, and optimism are inspiring. Jeff Bezos, who is currently flying around the world in a spaceship while his own employees starve. So just a quick sidebar on fuck that guy. So having been involved in a similar program that gained young Hungarians interest in the United States following the Soviet repression in 1958 uprising, Father Brian O. Walsh of the Catholic Welfare Bureau. So he did this for kids. And again, getting kids out of the tyranny of communism to come to America. With the help of the U.S. government, developed the Cuban Children's Program in the late 1960s. Key players included Tracy Voorhees of the Eisenhower administration, James Baker, and of course, Father Walsh. This is like, so and when this happened, by the way, and because I could read this article forever, then there was like literally just kids on the streets in Miami. It wasn't, we're taking care of them. There's just kids. There was just children, refugees on the streets in Florida.
Right. It's like bringing them to the United States does not instantly fix their lives. Like there was such an indoctrination. I mean, it continues to this day, but such an indoctrination of like, America's the land of promise, Cuba's the land of misery and death, that it was like, well, if we just steal them and put them on American soil, then all is peaches and cream, as if there aren't poor people and homeless in America.
Yeah. And you took children and then didn't even provide for, like, it wasn't like, we put them in schools and gave them jobs and everything was great. No, some of them just were walking the streets. Gee, that's great. Gee, I wonder what they're going to get into. Like what, or someone's going to snatch them up or whatever. If it's just like another stupid, horrible plan that ruins people's lives, all because we can't stand the fact that someone has a system that's different than capitalism. Like,
yeah.
If capitalism was, and this is why the capitalists know their system is awful. Because if your system's great, you're not worried about somebody else's system. You know what I mean? Like, You're just like, it's not a threat to me. But capitalism is like, oh God, we can't let people all have the same things. Then we lose our mansions and our private jets. And then, our shithead sons can't fly into space while his own employees starve 50 years later. So it's like, it's.
Yeah. If you want to know exactly how ridiculous it is, let's say you buy a shirt on Amazon, probably made in like Bangladesh. The average average garment worker in Bangladesh makes around $400 if you translate, the money, the currency, makes about $400 a year. Jeff Bezos makes that in a single second, every second.
Well, I guess they just need to pull themselves up by their own bootstraps.
At least
all these
these
billionaires are parasites, man. They're all Elon Musk. He built this. No, he was born into wealth, and he just bought PayPal and Tesla. He didn't do anything.
Yeah, he bought Tesla, and then tried to get the original creators to sign something saying he would be listed as a founder. Yeah, they're all evil. And I just was watching CBS News this morning, and they're all like fawning over Jeff Bezos and his brother about their flying into space. And it's just like, he has the money to do this, but he literally spends money to block unions. I can't even, we're so out of whack. The space program used to be something we all, like, as a kid, I was like, this is awesome. And the best and the brightest, and it was about exploration and science. And, I'm a Trekkie. It used to be a socialist program.
Yes.
We work together and we go to space together, really.
Together for the betterment of mankind. Now it's just rich assholes amusement park. Like, fucking blow these people out of the sky. Richard Branson, that fucking white tooth maggot, these guys need to just be wiped out, man. Like, they're the worst. Anyway. Yeah.
I mean, and of course the problem is if you imprison them all, a new batch would rise to the top pretty quickly, because this is the system. This is a system that rewards sociopaths. If you are a sociopath willing to kill or harm millions of people to get billions upon billions of dollars, then you can rise to that position. But if you're not willing to do that, then you're never going to rise to that position.
Yep. And there's no one in power that's sitting around going, well, how do we make society better? We're not improving society. It's just billionaires improving. And they're building these rocket ships and shit because they know the planet's collapsing and they want to live out in space while this planet burns. I mean, that's what they're doing. And we're all, and everyone celebrates them. I don't know how you could jail them and you got to seize their assets and then just collapse the whole system. I don't know how you do it. I don't know how unless you just like French Revolution style, just like off with all of their heads from the CIA through Wall Street and everyone else. And just like, I don't know how else you do it.
Well, it's not as fun or dramatic as, some of the things you're listing, which I think would be a lot of fun to watch. But I think you got to build up the alternatives. I mean, capitalism is not going to give in easily, even in some grand, fiery moment, not to mention all the hardship that would be involved with that. But I think you have to build up the alternatives. Everything that's not capitalist in our society should be, worked on and grown, and things like unions and mutual aid and all the things that people working together, not for profit. That's what people should be working on and devoting themselves to. And, I try and promote a lot of those things, but I'm not saying it's a lot of people don't want to hear that because they want something you can do tomorrow that'll fix everything. And I don't think that thing exists. But
no, it doesn't. That thing doesn't exist unless it's like aliens coming to the planet and taking out the 1%. And then we just got to get on board with aliens.
I mean, I'm also game to just listen to these fantasies because your fantasies are pretty great. Unless it's aliens coming here and sticking their giant alien cocks down the throats of Jeff Bezos and fucking him to death. I mean, unless that happens, I don't know how we're getting out of this situation, man.
Well, that second part you added. So let me just make that clear.
Wait, I did?
Yeah. I said nothing about alien cock, and that was all on you. So I'm not judging.
Graham, I feel like we're getting along every time, and then you try and say you didn't mention alien cock. Every fucking conversation has to end this way with some sort of dispute over who first brought it up, who's always talking about it. Why can't you just go along, man?
Yeah, I'm not judging what you do in your spare time, Lane. I'm totally
like it's just my spare time. All right. It is all of the times that I can cram him there. Pun intended. I
feel like maybe this is why we keep talking about butt plugs. I don't know. I can't.
You don't know what?
Maybe I brought a butt plug first on this episode. I don't know, but
you absolutely did. Don't act like you don't know. Don't pretend you don't know.
So I am somewhat culpable for the doorway to alien cock being opened. I mean, I guess that's.
I don't not to change the subject when we're on something important, but.
We're educating our audience, by the way.
That's what's an education going on. But I have a 1 minute extra government secret if you'd like it.
1 minute bonus gov secret by alien cock lover Lee Camp.
Dude, I haven't gone by that since high school.
I saw your yearbook. I saw that's how you would sign it.
So you mentioned the Pledge of Allegiance. Did you know that when the Pledge of Allegiance was first started, which it was started by it was authored by Francis Bellamy and originated in 1892, And the gesture that was, because you mentioned the Pledge of Allegiance, because the gesture that was connected to the Pledge of Allegiance for the first many years, that was done in many American classrooms. I don't know how long it took to spread to like every classroom. So I don't know that every kid across America was doing it, but the initial hand movement was not the hand over the heart like they do now. It was the fingers outstretched. Yes, it was the Sig Heil.
No way.
Yep.
Oh,
I will share the screen so you can see the horrifying image.
Wow. This is one of the most alarming gov-seeks we've had.
So it's a small image, but
can you zoom in on it or enlarge it or something? Oh man.
There is a classroom doing what was called the Bellamy Salute.
What year was this?
This was 1892 until 1920s and 30s. Italian fascists and Nazi Germans adopted a salute which was very similar, and which was derived from the Roman salute, a gesture that was popularly believed to have been used in ancient Rome. This resulted in a controversy over the use of the Bellamy salute in the United States, you think? And it was officially replaced by the hand over the heart salute when Congress amended the flag code in 1942. So it wasn't officially replaced until 1942, which is like years after the Nazis first started using it.
Wow. Yeah, a good 10 years, I believe, after the Nazis started to kind of come into power. They came into power like 32, 33, I think, right?
Right.
So a solid 10 years of everybody doing that, they went, oh, maybe we should change it.
Maybe we should stop sig-heiling to the flag. Mm-hmm.
And then that was in 42s. And then 4 years later, we go into Operation Paperclip and Operation Treadstone or Bloodstone or whichever one it was, where using Nazis, bringing Nazis over here.
Paperclip.
The country has had way, because it's like, why are all of these neo-Nazis still alive in this country? Why is that still allowed? Because they've been allowed to happen. They've been, Russia outlawed the swastika after World War II. They outlawed it. Germany has said they've outlawed it. But yet here it's like, well, they should be allowed to.
And also, I mean, this could get into another episode or another segment at some point. But there was until World War I got closer to the time when the U.S. got involved, there was a fair amount of support for Nazism in the United States, even as some of the stories were coming out as to what exactly the Nazis were involved in. There was still a fair amount of support, and in Eleanor Goldfield's article about Zionism and anti-Semitism in press this week, you can find an image of a Madison Square Garden Nazi event. I don't know the exact year, but it later 30s, maybe even early 40s, in which it was like sold out, and it was banners, massive banners on the stage containing swastikas and George Washington, images of George Washington.
Yeah, when a country's founded by genocide and slavery, it's pretty easy for people to go, yeah, of course.
This sounds okay. Yeah.
Sounds good to me. Washington and that gang had a pretty good idea. Wow. That's
sorry to take your joke and make it the right answer, but
yeah, thank you for slam dunking the truth on that joke.
You're like, Lee, for future reference, if I make a horrifying joke that I find despicable and disgusting and that's why it's funny, don't tell me I'm correct, okay?
Don't tell me I'm right, because it just is like, oh, I was going shock value over the line. There's no way it's that awful. No, it turns out it was. Never. That's a lesson I should know from doing 49 or 50, who knows what number we are, episodes of the show. Is that
you can never be surprised. You can
no.
never.
Your joke answer is that you think is so outlandish might be you're not going to be.
Yep.
The American government will never.
The craziest idea you could come up with for how the CIA wanted to kill Castro is probably true.
Yes. And how deep America has been into Nazis is probably also true. That's probably, we're way more Nazi than we thought we like to believe. Even though we sent young men to fight them in World War II, we still are very Nazi. But all right, well.
So yeah, that's the show. Thank you guys for joining us, learning the truth.
Government Secrets, episode 49, probably in the books. Cuba, CIA, and Nazis. So Lee Camp, where can people follow everything you're doing?
Yeah, so I have a brand new creation that is meant to support a lot of left-wing outlets and radical independent journalists, independent media. It's called radindiemedia.com. I hope everybody will just check it out for a few minutes. And it's not like a money-making venture. There's no advertising. There's no corporate sponsors. It basically just links to all these things. So all it does is help get hits and views for some of the most important journalism being done around the web. And it's radindie media.com. So yeah, check it out, bookmark it, check it every day if you like it. And that's about all there is to it. Also, for those listening to this on a podcast, you'll notice we also do the live stream, and you can come check that out if you want to view some of the images or anything. So that's on Graham's YouTube page. I then put it up later on my YouTube and Rockfin and stuff like that as well. But you can check that out. And for those watching it, you can check out the podcast whenever you're getting ready for a long drive. It's called Government Secrets. I don't know if you've gathered that. And you can find it on your podcast platforms.
And wherever you're either listening or watching it, either on Lee's or mine or iTunes or however you're consuming this podcast, please like it, share it, give it positive reviews on whatever platform you're watching. And all that stuff helps because we're really trying to grow the show. And hopefully soon we will have a link for the September 18th show in Los Angeles. And we're working on a show in Brooklyn. I'm supposed to contact that theater, right? Is that where we left it with Brooklyn?
Yeah, that's where we're going to leave it till October, I think.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so I got to get on that. I've just been busy.
So if it happens, and it likely will, the New York one will be October 12th, and the LA one which is already booked, is September 18th. Yeah, looking forward to it.
Right on. And go all my tour dates with Ron Placone, the post-pandemic comedy tour. We start September 11th in San Francisco. We do Sacramento. We got 24, 25 cities that we're doing the tour. That's all at GrahamElwood.com, and support both of us at Rockfin.com because it's blockchain, it's cryptocurrency, and they don't censor us. Do those things. All right, dude. Well, this was another good one, buddy.
Damn good one. Thanks a lot, man.
All right, buddy. We'll see you soon.
Talk to you later.
Bye. Hey, everybody, it's Graham Elwood. We are going on the road, Ron Placone and I, in September and October. Check GrahamElwood.com for tour dates, probably coming to a city near you. A lot of these shows have sold out in the past. We haven't been on the road in a year and a half because of the pandemic. Come out and join us. The post-pandemic comedy tour. Go to GrahamElwood.com for tickets. New cities being announced every day. Join us. And support what we do at patreon.com/Graham Elwood and rockfin.com/Graham Elwood. Blockchain cryptocurrency platform. Thank you. You're making Gotham great again. Boom.